restored. The one cool thing with CodeGuard as well is all these others, including Backup Buddy and stuff, if your site crashes, they can't restore it because the plugin can't run because it's crashed. CodeGuard doesn't care if your site's up already. It can go and still restore stuff anyhow. So it's kind of a, if you're not sure what you're doing, and again, next month we'll talk about using FTP and things to help your site if it is crashed, but CodeGuard doesn't care. They'll just restore it for you anyhow and you're back up and running. So some neat things there. Yeah, CodeGuard wasn't one we had listed, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Are some of the alternative backup plugins also useful for migration, like Backup Buddy?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, for migrating from one host to another. Yeah, Backup Buddy I think does a very good job of that. We'll talk about some others, but yeah, they do real well. ManageWP does that well. That's one I will be inclined to let hosts handle if they want. I know ClickHost in particular does a nice job of that. I don't always want to count on hosts to keep backups. I mean, I know Carl does, but I can't vouch for others. And I know with HostGator and some of those, they keep backups, but you send in a ticket, you can't really get a hold of them. It'll be some hours before they get back to you. I have my own, but yeah. For migrations, though, yeah, certainly. I say, hey, Carl, move this site over.
Well, but also just from a dev site to a library.
Right. Yep. Yeah, for any of that kind of stuff, yeah. It does a good job of that. And Backup Buddy does a nice job of changing URLs for you as it moves over, so from the dev URL to the real one, so you don't have to go and worry about all those. So yeah, good point. It does a nice job of that. Blank slate, Sideways 8. Aaron, give us the spiel on this again.
It just gives you a very empty page. So
Yeah.
mission accomplished. It's to be used with a page builder.
Right.
So you can, removes the header and footer and sidebar and everything, and it basically just displays the content.
So yes, if you need to build a landing page.
Pages.
Yeah, for a landing page, it's brilliant because again, most things like Beaver Builder, when you say, I'm going to use Beaver Builder on this page, you can use it and make the page all you want, but it still has your header and your sidebar and your footer and all that, which you probably want, but if you have a landing page, you probably don't. So you install Blank Slate, and when you're editing the page, I think you put the page template on the right there, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you choose Blank Page Template, now you have a completely blank page, use Beaver Builder or something, say, cool, I want a header here and a logo here, and build whatever you want in the middle of your site, and does a very nice job of that.
Divi does have that option.
Okay. The Divi theme does, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Divi Builder. So really, if you like Divi, if you have the Divi theme, you can use that. And if you're using Divi Builder on another site, you use Divi Builder in combination with Blank Slate to accomplish the same kind of thing. So yeah, good point there. Let's see. Next up, Bug Me Bar. This is well named. It's not in the main repository. It's $12. We use this on a few sites. It's just one of these that does a little drop down the top, kind of boing, and drops that little blue bar down. You can customize the text and the link to whatever. Change the color. Make it a little red alert saying, hey, don't forget to check out our new plugin, or don't forget schools are closed on Monday for Memorial Day. Whatever you need to announce to your users, you can turn on and off. A lot like Hello Bar. This just seems a little bit easier. I think a little bit cheaper maybe, but they're both in the same kind of price range. They're not neither one's especially expensive, but
does that allow you timing, like program it from the state to the state, time to time, to come in and disappear?
I don't think so. I'd have to look and see, but yeah, good question. We could probably read down. I'll have to look and see. It may, but yeah, for most of ours, we use with a couple clients, they leave it up pretty much all the time. We just change the messaging from time to time, so I don't know. Yeah, good question. I don't have the answer. So.
What's the license on that? I mean, you have to pay every 6 months or a year or something?
You get 6 months of support, so yeah, you'd have to pay, so $12 every 6 months. You can extend it to a year for an extra $3. So they do that, but they will keep, poking at you over time to keep paying a little bit. But again, it works well, it's consistent, does a nice job. So I know there's a lot of other ones, but this is one we use, so there you go. Let's see, next up, Stephanie, you here? I don't think she is. She mentioned Contact Form 7, but I think probably others of you have used that. Yeah, Tom, I see nodding his head. Contact Form 7 is a very simple contact form plugin, sort of oddly named. There's not a 1 through 6 that I know of, but it does a good job. There's a lot of other plugins that extend it to go further, not unlike Gravity Forms, not to that degree, but things that will let you, capture and save submissions on your site. I always recommend that if you have a contact form. Somehow make sure you're saving a copy of them in a database or on your site or somewhere in case there's spam issues or whatever. You can always go back and see what was submitted. In our case, a lot of times clients will come and say, oh, by the way, send me a list of everyone that filled out the form last month. If you're not saving it, that's a big pain, but if you are, just export it out and stick it in. But that, again, has extensions to do that, does a nice job. We'll hit a few other contact forms as we go, but if you need something simple, that's as good as anything out there.
And it's free.
And it's free, there you go, yes. It's brilliant for that as well. You get Gravity Forms and some of the others are very powerful, but can get a little expensive. So yeah, again, you need a simple contact form, great way to go there. One of Diana's first ones she mentioned a few, and then she's not here today. Anyone else use Crayon Syntax Highlighter?
I do.
Okay, cool. Tell us about it.
I mean, basically, it's only useful if you're a developer really want to display like PHP code. It gives you a nice little color-coded snippet.
So it's for displaying code on a page.
On the page, yeah.
To say, hey, you guys should use this code. Gotcha. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was for you somehow in the back end or gotcha.
Yeah, and it works with JavaScript, HTML, Ruby. I mean, almost any kind of programming language.
Gotcha. Very cool. So a lot of you, if you do use code editors on your side, Sublime and some of those, they'll color the code for you to use to see. But if you insert code on your site for other people to use, they load this JavaScript, it's usually just blank. So this will let you color that code to make it look nicer. Again, if you're a developer that likes to share code on your site, which a lot of us don't, but yeah, very handy plug-in. Aaron does though, so that's good. And Diana does, I'm sure, too, so that's a good one. Crazy Egg heat map tracking. Anybody use this? We use this one a good bit. This, what is that screenshots on here? Of course they don't. I should have pulled some screenshots. But what this does, you have to pay for the Crazy Egg service, which is $20 a month or something, I think, for up to 10 sites at a time. And it just tracks when people find out where they click on the page. And then it'll kind of build a heat map of that afterward. You'll see, like, you know, it's focused red up here, kind of greens across here. You can see a lot of actual user interaction on the site, which can be very, very useful. They have code you can stick on your site to make it track, but they have a little plug-in, which is kind of just drop the plug-in in, put your code, your little user ID in with it, and it'll start tracking for you. Again, I think it's like $20 a month, and it'll capture up to 25,000 page views on 10 different sites. So we do this for a lot of our clients, especially when we go live with a new site. We have it track this, and so we can kind of see what's going on and say, wow, no one's clicking that one tab at the top, or they all are skipping this button and clicking that button, and kind of, you know, just a way to kind of test, see what users are doing. It does a nice job. There are other ones I've seen that have come out that are more proper WordPress plugins. This is really kind of a third-party tracking thing that happens to work with WordPress among others, but Aaron.
We use, I didn't know if you were asking.
No, yeah, no, please, yeah.
Anyway.
No, all these I'm asking for alternatives, so yeah.
Lucky Orange
Okay.
is a good service. It does heat tracking and whatnot. The thing I like about it is that it also basically gives you a video of where people are going. It follows their mouse
Okay.
all the way through, so you can see how far down they're scrolling and all
Gotcha.
that. So it's $20 a month also.
Gotcha.
So for one, I think we pay $50 a month and we have 10 sites.
Gotcha. So a little more, but yeah, it's got some neat things. This does not only do the heat map, it does a scroll map. So it's kind of do color coding on how average 50% of people make it this far down your page, 20% make it here, 5% make it here, but does not do the live mouse and actually seeing what individual folks are doing. So that's what. Say it again, Lucky Orange?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you guys use that in dev stage, like when you get your launch for testing, or do you do more analysis after?
More after, yeah, because dev stage is usually just a handful of us looking at it. We know what we're looking at. I want to see when we give to the public what they're looking at. And there's other A/B testing tools you can do that actually will change things, like show a green button to half the people, show a red button to the other half, and track which one does better and some of that. But this is just kind of a see where everyone's clicking and see if you can see anything out of it, you know, is all that's really for. And again, sometimes we can. You know, we had one client that blogged a lot, but they decided to put their blog in their tab called Knowledge, and we looked at their nav bar and it was, you know, bright red, bright red, bright red, like nothing, bright red, like no one knows that it's there. So we renamed it, and sure enough, people realized, oh, that's the blog, the news, and helped them out. So it can be some interesting things. You can get the same kind of stuff from Google Analytics if you look hard enough. This is nice to see a visual, like, why is there a big dead spot there? And figure out what's going on. Enviro Gallery, this is one we use as well, just for a photo gallery, basically.
Just bought it this morning.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. What do you think?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I was wondering if the light is the same as the paid one. I mean, I know it's lighter, but I didn't know if it was even the same developer.
Yeah, same developer, same thing. It just is lacking some features. I don't remember exactly what they are.
I just spent $20.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Yes, the light one basically lets you kind of try it out and do some basic stuff. The paid one does more, and then they have paid extensions beyond that to add Pinterest buttons to all your things, or to have them pop up in a different way, or do thumbnails, you know, different kind of But yeah, but Thomas has this one. He also has Soliloquy that we'll talk about in a bit for sliders, and just well-written, simple, just well-done plugins is all they are. I mean, there's a lot of galleries out there. I'm sure there's other good ones, but I like this because I know it'll work. I know it's easy to drag images in. It just does a nice job. So nothing magical per se, but you know, a lot of gallery stuff will break, or things won't work right, or it's a pain to reorganize or whatever. This you can kind of drag and drop, reorder. Just does a nice job. So, and yeah, so $20 or something, I guess, is very good. This is a little more custom for us. And I didn't click on each one because there's a lot of them, but we use Genesis, Studio Press. We use their themes exclusively. And there's a number of plugins written specifically for Genesis that won't work anywhere else. And I just thought I'd show a few of them off just so you can see those. Genesis Simple Hooks. For those of you that were here when Micah spoke last month, learning about actions and filters and hooks, this makes it very easy to stick stuff in a hook. So you can say, after the header, show this, put this code in. After the post, put this in. Before the sidebar starts, put this in. Just kind of in those little crevices you can't quite get to in WordPress. It lets you either put some code in, or you put a picture, or put some text. Just a nice way to access in the little hard to reach areas. Genesis Simple Edits is very simple, but it's kind of nice. Lets you edit really we use it mostly for the footer if we need to. You can edit the footer area, what's down at the bottom. You can just go in there and just say, hey, change it from all the junk that's in there to simplify to something different. Customize the post info stuff, the byline of under each post you want to show the date and then the categories and the tags, or no tags, and show the categories first. You just kind of do some simple stuff simple changes to a few simple things. And then the other one I like is Genesis Simple Sidebars. Again, there's a lot of Genesis Simple stuff. Simple Sidebars is neat. I think we talked about this a couple years ago for those of you who were here. But on every page, one issue with WordPress out of the box is when you add stuff to your sidebar, it's on the sidebar of every page, which is okay, but sometimes that's not what you want. And there's ways certainly to code around that. Simple Sidebars is neat because you can go and say, create a new sidebar and call it About Page. And then in your widget area, there's a new widget area called About Page. So, drag some widgets in, and then on the About Page, just that sidebar shows up instead of the one that goes across the site. Where it's neat, where we used it on our previous site, is we had a contact form in the sidebar, which is kind of handy, you could, if you want to do that. But you get to our contact page, there was a form there too. It looked kind of silly to have it on both, so we made a custom sidebar real simple. We just got rid of the one in the sidebar so you wouldn't have it doubled up. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm not a Genesis user, so I use Woo sidebars.
Okay.
Which gives us the same type of control, so it gives you areas basically, and you can control, you want this sidebar to show up on this page, or this all posts, or pages, or even custom posts.
Gotcha. That works with,
it's very customizable.
essentially works with any theme?
Yes.
There, okay, so Woo sidebars, cool.
Yeah.
Is it free?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So there you go. So, yeah, like simple sidebars, but yeah, work for all of you, so Woo sidebars.
How does that work responsively?
However your sidebar works anyhow. It doesn't change any of the code around it. So however you got your sidebar set, typically your sidebars will float to the bottom, but that's about how you coded the site. This is just changing the content of the sidebars, not dealing with how they respond. But yeah. Let's see, another one from Diana. Oh wait, I thought I had one more from her here. Oh no, first GM BlockBot. So this is one of our plugins for blocking all the spam stuff in analytics. If you look at your Google Analytics much, you probably see lots of referring sites called like free-social-traffic.com, just a bunch of spammy stuff. And so this blocks about half of that. Half of it we can block with a plugin, or there's other ways you can block it yourself. The other half are called ghost referrals, where they don't even visit your site, they just kind of hit your analytics and throw stuff in. And so we have a post on our site I can send you if you need that shows you how to go in your analytics and block all those. So if you go in your analytics and block those and install this plugin, you should theoretically block 98% of them, keep your analytics cleaner. They don't hurt your site in any way, it just makes it very hard to tell if traffic's up or down or whatever. You say, wow, we had a huge day, and then you realize it was all just garbage, So, simple plugin. We made it intentionally very simple. It doesn't do any database calls or anything. If we add new ones to it, you have to update the plugin. The thought being that way we're not touching your database at all, we're not doing any outbound calls. It just has a little tiny plugin, just looks for what it needs to and moves on. So, does its job. This is one Diana had. Anyone else use this? Google Doc Embedder? Sounds pretty straightforward. If she likes it, it's passed. Those of you that know Diana Nichols, if she says the plugin's good, it's passed a lot of tests, but she's very hard about plugins that are resource intensive and do things they don't need to be doing. So the fact that she says this is good, I would tend to think we need to embed a document of some kind. It looks like PDFs and all kinds of other stuff. This will probably do the job for you. Anybody else use a plugin to embed things? No? I mean, yeah, we don't have a lot of need for it either, but if you do, Google Doc Embedder looks pretty solid again.
You can embed a PDF.
Yeah, like in the page. So instead of clicking and opening it, you can have it just sitting there in the page. Like, I guess essentially an iframe is probably how it does it. That kind of thing, which could be kind of useful. Let's see. All right, Gravity Forms. Who's Gravity Forms users? There you go, Isaac. Why should we all be Gravity Forms users?
I like a lot of the functionality that's built in, and it is more of a premium plugin, but once you pay for that, all of that, you kind of get everything all in one instead of the model of some of the other forms where you're paying for each individual add-on.
No, interesting. I know it has a zillion add-ons. They're all included.
A lot of them are. I think there are some ones that integrate with like WooCommerce and stuff like that that are paid add-ons.
Gotcha, okay.
There's a ton of free add-ons that come once you purchase the
Gotcha.
license for that.
Nice. And those of you that haven't used it before, there was a talk at WordCamp this year from Naomi Bush.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the talk, but if you go to WordPress.tv and search for WordCamp 2016 Atlanta, Naomi Bush had a great talk going into a lot of those extensions and ways to make it do some ridiculously powerful things for essentially just a form plugin, you know. So
Yeah, it's like she designed a whole site out of forms.
right, yeah. She goes, I think, a little too far. I'd rather do a little, but it is interesting. It was very eye-opening to see the things you could do with it. So, yeah, worth checking that out. Let's see. Next up, Insanity. Anybody else use Insanity? This was another Diana Nichols one. You say? No? Okay. What this does, and I don't use it either, but automatically resizes huge image uploads. So if people upload ginormous images to your site, it'll kind of crunch them down before it puts them on there, which can help a good bit. We typically do most of the uploading ourselves, so we get things sized properly ahead of time, so I'd rather save and not have one extra plugin on the site. But if you're giving the site to a client that you know is just going to throw stuff at it that's huge, go ahead and toss that on there. There's other ones like that, yeah, Aaron?
What does it do? Does it compress or does it resize?
I believe it resizes.
Okay.
Again, I don't use it, but I'm quite sure it resizes. It says resize, yeah. Automatically scales large images up to a more sane size. Bulk resize to do that. Allows configuration of max width, height, and JPEG quality. So I think it'll, yeah, rescan, as it were, to change the JPEG quality and resize to get it down to a better size.
Is that also what Smush does?
Yeah, very similar to Smush, I think, yeah. There's a few, I think there's a few different Smush ones. I think it's been bought and sold. I don't know what the stuff is there, but yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, so again, can be useful. I think for most of you, you probably know this box needs to be a 462 by 800 image, and you just do it. But again, if you're handing it off to a client that you know is just going to toss stuff straight out of their camera, save your web host will be thankful for saving the space there. And your visitors will be too, because they do things a little bit faster. And in theory, getting more into sort of the development side, but if you build your own custom post types or things like that, you can, or heck, even just out of the box, you can specify, hey, WordPress, resize things to these specific sizes and use them. So even if they upload a huge one, that one would sit on the server, but WordPress would still display smaller ones to the user.
Will it crop?
I think so.
Or is it just?
Right, yeah, it's a good question, if it'll crop or if it just
They
resizes.
distort it to get it to the right dimension.
Correct, that's a good question. I would assume it would
Because
crop.
people
But
upload pictures, they don't understand any horizontal, they upload
right,
vertical.
left, yes. I think it's all stretched. Yeah, I don't know if it would help with that or not. We'd have to ask Diana or someone who's using it, but I imagine it would be very similar to Smush, so whatever that does, yeah. And that's always a problem too. Yeah.
I just want to add, you have to be careful when you use stuff like that you don't strip out the ITPC information, because you could be technically violating the Digital Millennial Copyright Act.
Yeah, good point. So yeah, so in every image,
A lot of those measures take information out besides cropping it.
and I don't know the info on this, and that's a very good point though. So yeah, when you take a picture on your camera, it saves a bunch of EXIF data in it. It says what the resolution was, what time it was taken, who took it, what the model was, and some of that's required for copyright reasons. And a lot of photographers, I thought Carrie Lee was going to be here, but I imagine when she edits photos, she probably adds more stuff in that she was a photographer and here's her web address and does things.
Well, yeah, you can save that to the metadata.
Right, it says the metadata of the image, exactly. And then Frank's point is some of these, and I don't know if this one does or not, when they resize it, they strip all that stuff out, which probably isn't a good thing, because it makes the image like 0.1% bigger. I mean, it's just a little bit of text info in there. I think it's more just laziness, because when you resize an image like that and resave it, by default it takes it out, so they need to be careful to include it. And I don't know if that one does or not, but yeah. Depending on what you do, that could be, for most of us, it's probably not a big deal, but it could be, yeah, depending on what your situation is, it could be a very big deal, so it's worth checking that out. And Carrie Lee just RSVP'd she was coming, so I don't know where she is, but she probably has the answer to that, but if she shows up late, we can ask her. iTheme security. We'll talk about a few security ones. This is one we use quite a bit. It used to be Better WP Security, and then iTheme's bought them. We actually have the iTheme Security Pro. We were looking hard between that one and Securi and WordFence, and we'll talk about the other two later. We went with this one because they all do a good job, and this one had the best value on the Pro version. It was a couple $100 for us to do it for all our sites versus the other ones would have been thousands to scale out to the sites we need to cover. So we figured they'd do about the same job. This is the one we use, but just a good security plugin to get in there to kind of keep an eye on your site and harden some directories and check for bots that keep trying to log in and lock them out of that, and look for known IP addresses that are attacking, and just kind of keeps an eye on things for you and lets you know if something's going sideways. It's not perfect, but does a very good job. Really, the best thing you can do, as we've talked about many times, keep WordPress updated, keep your plugins updated, and that's like 80% of your job right there. And then things like this help cover a lot of that last 20%. Beyond this, in WordFence and security, anything else you guys use for security stuff?
Jetpack.
Yeah, Jetpack. Oh, Jetpack does have a little bit of security in it. Yeah, we do turn that on. So the brute force thing in there can help out a little bit. Okay, all right. There you go. Yeah, you would know more than us, so yeah.
Well, what it does is it basically monitors all WordPress installations that have activated, and any weird IP activity, it would block that if you have it activated on your site. So it's a very simple way to get great protection against brute force attacks.
Gotcha. So this is the Jetpack. We'll talk about Jetpack in just a minute here, but that's good to know. And I believe this has that kind of thing built in. And I think they also do the kind of share it among, pass stuff around. But Jetpack, I'd have to look at numbers. I'm sure Jetpack is used on far more sites than iTheme Security, so you get that much more community IP information to help block against. But I wouldn't do just the Jetpack brute force, though, because that all only focuses on brute force. There's other things to look at. So I would suggest another plugin in addition to it. This would be one to consider. Actually, our next one is Jetpack. Yay! Good timing. So we're going alphabetical, so that worked out. The Jetpack is, for those that aren't familiar, it's like 50 plugins in one, which is very good and is very bad. I'm more on the very good side. Diana's not here to defend herself, but she's on the very bad side.
Well, Henry will.
Okay, yeah, so he's on the very bad side. I like it because when we first added it, it replaced like 5 different plugins we used to use with this one plugin. It is a big plugin, but it's pretty well optimized considering its size. But if you're going to turn it on and say, Carl said it has that great brute force protection, I'm going to install Jetpack just for that, that'd be kind of silly. This is a big plugin to use just for little things here and there. But if you can use a bunch of its features in one, use 8 or 10 of its modules, it's worth the stress it puts on your server.
It's really not, it's only going to load what modules you have activated anyway.
Right, it does, considering how big it does a phenomenal job of, But if, we talk about the fewer plugins the better, and some are heavier than others, and even as well as it does, it's still a pretty heavy plugin. So again, I would refrain from loading it if you're only going to use 1 or 2 modules, because even if it's only loading that stuff, it's still another 3,000 files on your server and more overhead. But running through quickly, here's the list of all the stuff it has. Some worth noting, like carousel is kind of neat. If you use the built-in gallery in WordPress, it does a nice little, they click on it, pops open a little carousel thing for people to go through. Does some neat things with your comments, let people log in with Facebook and other things to log in, leave a comment on your site. Has a built-in contact form. If contact form 7 is even too fancy for you, it has an even simpler one that's just very, very simple but does all right. Custom CSS is kind of nice. We'll talk about more of those, but gives you a little custom CSS box to put little CSS changes in instead of edit the code yourself. Can be kind of nice. Extra sidebar widgets give you a few different widgets you can use on your site beyond the normal stuff that's built in. Running down, let's see what's worth. Markdown we've talked about before. If you like, it's a different way to write code. It's kind of cool. That's built into there. Monitor, I think, is going to build out eventually into something bigger, but it's a way to monitor uptime of your sites. Between that and manage, you can almost start doing the manage WP, iTheme sync sort of thing to manage all your sites at once, but it's not quite there yet. But it's kind of nice. Omni search, I like. It puts a little search right up in the corner here. It searches everything. So if you go in there and search, it'll search your pages and your posts and your comments and your widgets and your plugins, and it's kind of nice to say, I know I mentioned Teresa's name on our site somewhere. Go there, search for Teresa. Whoop, it'll give you all the answers at once. Photon, I'm not sure why we don't have it turned on here, is a cheap CDN, content delivery network. So there's other ones out there a content delivery network basically says, instead of loading all my images and stuff from my server, store my images elsewhere and somewhere faster, but have them show up on my site still. In theory, it makes your site load faster. Yeah.
I believe it was that there was a problem with one of the sites that I had, that they were using Revolution Slider, which of course is like this gigantic slider thing with all the bells and whistles, and it was conflicting and the images weren't loading.
With Photon? I can see that, yeah.
It was something in Jetpack, and if I recall, I can't think
that
of
would
it.
make sense, yeah. That would make sense for it to be that.
It would make sense that it was that was the one.
And so the way Photon works is it uses the WordPress.com servers to offload your images. So When you turn it on, the first time a page loads, it says, oh, there's a big image on it. Let me quickly grab a copy and put it on WordPress.com. And now every time going forward, pull it from there instead. So your users see the same thing, but in theory it's faster. In theory it's less strain on your web host. It can do some good things. The neat thing is though, when you upload files to your site, they still go on your site first and it makes a copy on WordPress's server. So if you have an issue, you can uncheck Photon and things are just how they were before. You don't have to reload anything or fix anything, or it's all just as it was. So if you have an issue, no problem. Just turn it off, not a big deal. If it works though, hey, it'll make your site load a smidge faster. Post by email is what it is. It's kind of useless for most of us. I had one guy though I knew, he was circumnavigating the globe and I was helping manage his site. And when he's on the water, he had some weird email system called like sail mail for sailboats that cost like a couple dollars per kilobyte. It was crazy expensive. So he could send, he couldn't log into this kind of stuff. He could send just a bare bones text or email to this special address in Jetpack, and it would post the post for him. Hey, I'm in the middle of the ocean doing this. It was kind of cool. So for the rest of us,
Those of us who have sailboats and sail around the world.
yeah.
I think that one.
Beyond that case, I'm not sure why you'd want that. There's Protect that Carl mentioned. Turn that on. It does some good things. Publicize will automatically send your posts to Facebook and Twitter and some of those if you want to automate that, which we can argue about that either way, but has that built in. Related posts is kind of neat. After your post, it says here's some related posts to that. What's good about that, again, is that WordPress.com will do the heavy lifting, and so Carl won't get mad that you're killing his servers. Because the related post plugins, like Yarp is a popular one, yet another related post plugin, does a great job, but it is brutal on a server. It does a ton of computation to figure out what's related, to pull them up and all that. With this, every time you post, it keeps a copy over at WordPress.com so it knows what's going on. And when it needs to load a post, WordPress.com does all the heavy lifting and spits out the related post for you. So again, it loads it faster, easier on your server. Not a lot of options. Your options are basically show the text or show the text with an image. On or off. So if you don't like it, you may want to go somewhere else, but it works. Sharing gives more sharing modules after your blog posts, like people can click to share on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Fairly bare bones, but again, does a nice job. And in our case, we often use it because we're already using Jetpack and it does good enough. Don't want to load yet another plugin to make the buttons a little rounder or something usually. You may need to in some cases, but single sign-on I really like. Not a lot of people use that, but that will let you, when you enable it on a site and sign in once, it knows what your WordPress.com account is. So it says, hey, this guy's Mickmel at WordPress.com. So when I go to log in, I click single sign-on, poof, I'm logged in. Because I don't have to remember passwords for all these sites and all that. Any of the sites we manage, when I go to the login screen, log me in. It says, oh yeah, I know who you are, and you're good to go. It takes a little while to set up, because you have to go into each one and enable it and say, yes, that's really me, and connect it and all that, but it's kind of cool. Site stats is the WordPress.com stats. And Google Analytics is certainly a much better way to go, but we often leave this on because, again, all the heavy lifting is done by WordPress.com. It gives you another look at your stats, so why not? Let's see, what else is... Tile galleries is kind of cool if you use the built-in gallery. Again, we use Enviro for most things, but it does some different ways you can organize your galleries. And then widget visibility is kind of neat. Sort of does what we've been talking about earlier with this, the columns, the sidebars, Genesis Simple sidebars and Woo sidebars, is that what it's called? Yeah. That kind of thing. It does it different though. It still gives you one sidebar. You can say, this widget in here, have it show up on the home page and the about page and the products page. And this one only show on the about page. And this one show on this other page. And you can customize each one to say which page it should show up on. It works well, it just becomes very messy because then you have this one sidebar with like 50 widgets that probably all say text, 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 text. You have no idea what's what. It works, but it's messy. I find it easier to find one of the sidebar solutions that generate different sidebars. Here's the about page sidebar and stuff in it. Here's the product page sidebar. But it does the job. So I've glossed over a bunch of them, but there's tons of stuff in Jetpack. And again, if you can use half a dozen of those, it's probably worth loading. If you say, none of that interests me, maybe this sharing icons, I would load just a simpler sharing icon plugin instead. So that's Jetpack in a nutshell. Manage WP, get my list back up here. So we've talked about this a good bit as well. This is kind of if you need to manage a bunch of sites at once. So again, we have 141 sites or whatever in here. And so old Brooke spends a good bit of time in here every day, and I do sometimes as well, just saying, hey, these 14 need this plugin update, and these 3 need WordPress updated, and it runs backups on them all the time, runs backups daily, and again, the backups on it are ridiculously awesome. That's the main reason we switch this with the backups, because again, with Infinite WP that we used before and Backup Buddy and others, it would back up 80 to 90% of our sites, no problem. That would leave us with like 25 sites that were always failing backups. It was a big pain in the butt. Susanna hated me because she had to go in manually and back them up. We still want to have good backups. This works literally 100% of the time on all these sites. Perhaps once a month we'll see one that failed, and I'll say, fix it, try it again. It's like, okay, it's good to go. But it does daily backups, and like Aaron mentioned with CodeGuard, I can go back to any point in time on any of our sites and say, oh shoot, we have an issue. I need to get that one file we had on the site 2 months ago. We can go back to March 31st and find the one file inside there, and grab just that one file and pull it back. It's beautiful the way it works. And then again, it does other things like plugin updates and core updates and related posts, not related posts, post provisions, helps clean up excess post provisions, just does a lot of neat things in one bucket. Their pricing is about to change drastically any day now. It's going to be within a month or two, about 2 months ago, so we're about there. It's going to make it about twice as expensive for us, but it'll make it a whole lot cheaper for most people, so I don't want to tell them I'm very happy to pay twice as much if it'll keep them going because I love them so much. What's neat with the new pricing, though, it's going to be free to use. You can add all the sites you want to for free and do plugin updates and WordPress updates and all that kind of stuff. If you want to do backups, it's $1 a site per month. If you want to do, it's $1 a site per month for different things. So for us, we're going to be paying about $250 a month per site on average, which will take us from $150 to like $350 or something. But again, well worth it for that. For most people, it'll be free. So, Isaac.
I was just going to add in, they have really good uptime monitoring that you can see as well. That's what they use for that.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, they use Uptime Robot to power that. So Uptime Robot is a free uptime monitor. They have it built in there. What's neat is they keep stats on it. So we can show our client at the end of the month, say, hey, here's your uptime for the month, and does a nice little chart showing you up. Oh, you had 2 little downtimes that your host had an issue or whatever. It has some neat uptime monitoring. It has malware scanning, which is not automated yet, but it will be soon. Right now, you can go into any site and say scan it. So we don't do that a lot, because it would be a lot of work to go tell them to scan, because we have other tools to do that. Malware scanning, and then the other one is site speed. They'll do site speed checks. And again, keep all that in nice logs. So at the end of the month, you can run a report for any of your sites saying, here's what happened this month. We updated these plugins and did this thing, your site speed and your uptime. But I think uptime is one of those that's going to be like $1 a month per site, which, again, if you have a handful is not bad, but suddenly we're at $140 for, I don't know if we're going to do that. So, but it's a great plugin. Aaron?
I was using Infinite WP, and then I moved to Manage WP. Now I'm using Main WP because the hosting that we use does the backups for us, so I don't need to worry about backing up things. But Main WP, basically, you set it up on a kind of like a burner domain, and you have it only runs the main WP like parent plugin, and then you install the child plugin on all the other sites, and that's how we manage all of our plugin updates and WordPress updates and all of that stuff.
Yep, and I looked at that one too, and that one is pretty solid. Very similar to Infinite WP.
Yeah, it's just free.
Yep.
So
Is it completely free?
completely free.
Okay.
If you want to do backups, you have to pay for that module.
Gotcha.
But for us, we don't have any cost. So
Are you talking about Infinite WP or Main?
Main.
Oh, Main, okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, Infinite WP is the same kind of thing where you install it on your own server somewhere. We bought a special domain name. We used it like greenmelon.infinitewp.com or something we had. So we can just go there and run it. You have to install it yourself and do it. But again, it's free. I think we paid a couple $100 to buy a bunch of their add-ons back in the day. But then there was no monthly cost, whereas with this, there is a monthly cost in most cases. But there's nothing to install, nothing to do. Just have a plugin. They run it off their server, which can be a benefit. Claudia?
So I have Backup Buddy, and with that, a 10-site subscription, they gave me iSync.
Yep.
So the two of those, is that doing the same as?
Yep, exactly. iTheme Sync is another one that, there's.
So if I have the combination of the two.
Correct, that does a good job as well. And again,
Same thing.
when we were looking hard to replace Infinite WP, it was having too many issues with the backup. We looked at that, and that had the backup issues before, but now that there's Backup Buddy Live Stash that goes with that, it may be a pretty powerful combination.
I have iStash, I'm still sending it to AW.
Gotcha. So that could be a very suitable way to go there too. Main WP, we looked at, but again, for us, had the same issues with backups. But in Aaron's case, all of his clients are on WP Engine, so they have good backups. He doesn't worry about that, and heck, they're on a good enough host. I'm pretty confident that all the backups through Main WP would probably work as well if he wanted to, because they're not on GoDaddy and other bad places. Let's see. Time we have 12:35. Cool. Page links too, this is kind of a convenient little one. You can see that little screenshot, it's kind of hard to see. But at the very bottom of your posts and pages, you say, hey, do you want this to link somewhere else instead when people come to this page? So by default it says it's normal WordPress URL, but if you're getting rid of a post, you're getting rid of a page, instead of just deleting it and having people find a not found error, say, instead, link to this alternate page instead. So suppose you had a page for About Us and underneath the other one for Art History, and say, you know what, I'm just going to put on the About Us page. On the Art History page, set this up and say, hey, redirect them over to the main About Us page. That way, what Google has indexed and people have an old URL bookmarked or something, they'll still get to the new page. You'll keep the link juice flowing there. It can be kind of handy. We don't use it a ton, but it can be great for, again, those cases where you're changing something up. And people don't even see this page. So still have this whole page on the back end of your site with little things they can redirect over. And if users go to it, they're instantly taken to the new location. They don't even see this page. There's other ways to handle redirects, but this is super simple and does a nice job.
Simple 301 redirects for 301.
Okay, simple 301 redirects. I think I may have that. Yeah, I've got that one coming. I saw your list there. And the redirection's another one we'll talk about too. There's a few ways to do it, but just for changing on a page, that's as easy as it gets, I think. Again, depending on what you need. If you need a little bit more, then don't have 2 redirect plugins. Use the more powerful one and deal with it. But lots of different ways to go. Push press is one we still love on most of our sites. As you can see, it adds Hubbub support to your site, which you've all been anxious to get, I'm sure. And what that basically is, we call it push. That's the push press. It's Hubbub. It used to be, it's more for RSS readers, but can help a bit with duplicate content issues. So what it is, if you have an RSS reader, and I'm about the only one left, I think, that uses that, it checks sites for updates every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes to see if there's a new post on them. If someone has push press, as soon as they hit publish, it kind of pushes it out to all those places. The thing I like with this, it gives you one more leg up on Google if people steal your content. And we've talked about duplicate content stuff before, and I'm a believer that there's no such thing as a duplicate content penalty. People say that a lot. It's really just Google says, hey, this is the one we think is the real one, so the rest of them just go away. You're not in trouble if there's duplicates. It just says this is the original author, so these ones that copied it aren't there. You want to make sure when you post something, Google knows you're the original author, even if other people steal it. There's a lot to that, but this helps a little bit. As soon as you hit publish, Google sees yours and says, all right, I saw that one first. And then if other ones bubble up, it probably knows that you're the original author, and you don't need to worry about wasting your time tracking down people stealing your stuff. You can if you want, but we tend not to. I mean, anything we post is probably on 20 other sites. People just strip our stuff and steal it, but it doesn't matter because they all get bumped down. Google knows we're the original one. And it's a tiny little plugin and does a good job of helping with that. So, worth mentioning there. Redirection we just mentioned a minute ago. This is the main redirection plugin we use for redirecting. I think the main place we use this is when we launch a new site. We want all those old URLs, if things change. When we launch a new site, we want to keep URLs identical to the extent possible. But if it was a real old site with .html files or ASP or whatever, or if they changed a whole bunch of stuff, we're going to make sure all those old pages are redirected to the appropriate place on the new site. Could be with condensing. These 4 pages all need to go to this new one. Or this one doesn't really exist anymore, it goes to the home page. We go through and map all those out. And this does a nice job of helping you do that. It has a good interface for that. And one thing I really like, they say it keeps track of 404 errors. So it'll log, anytime someone is on your site and hits a page not found, it'll log it in there and say, wow, people are trying to go to this and it's not there. It doesn't matter if they have a bad link or someone mistyped something, they're trying to go there, set up a redirect to take them where they need to go. So next time they try to go to that wrong place, poof, they're on the right place anyhow, it doesn't matter. So it does a nice job of doing that kind of stuff. Let's see. Relevancy, this is another one we use. Jason Sear got us turned on to this a few years ago. It greatly enhances the built-in WordPress search feature. The WordPress search does an okay job by itself, but you can't really customize it. This gives you tons of ways to customize how the results come out, not only visually, they have screenshots, unfortunately, but in terms of importance. You can say on this site, I want blog posts to be more important than pages, but I want the custom post type to be more important than those, and ignore these words here, and you can do a lot of fine-tuning to help get the search results when people are searching on your site to do a good job. I believe it captures search queries as well. I don't know for sure. We do that through Google Analytics. If you've not done that, I can help you with that. But Google Analytics can track what people search on your site, which is so valuable. You say, wow, people keep searching for this one word. That means they're probably not focusing well enough. They're having a hard time finding it, so you can change things for that. But Relevancy does a nice job of enhancing that built-in search. The free version does very well. The premium version, I can't remember what it cost, but I remember feeling it was very fair. Because we bought the premium ones that let us use it on unlimited sites for, I don't remember what it was, but it was $50, $100, something. For unlimited sites, it was pretty good. But again, the free one does a pretty good job. They keep it updated, it's widely used. Does a nice job. There's other ones that enhance search. Anybody use anything else for search enhancements? No? I've heard of others, I just don't know them offhand. All right, simple 301 redirects. Tom, take it away. Tell us about this one. Is this the right one?
Yeah,
I think so.
you plug in what you want to redirect to where, and it works.
Okay, so it basically gives you two boxes saying, take this one and redirect it here.
Right.
Okay, cool. So very, very simple, but yeah.
You could redirect to an external page also.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the other ones do that as well. But yeah, that's good to have there. So yeah, so you just need a few simple 301s, and that could be a good way to go there. One thing I like with redirection, the one we mentioned that does the 404s, is occasionally on smaller sites, and we go live. As soon as we go live with a new site, the first thing I'll do is go to Google and search for site : in their name, get a list of all the pages Google knows about, load them all up real quick, and they'll all be broken. And I'll hop into redirection and say, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. You know, I'll know exactly what they are, and I don't miss any that way. So there's ways you can do that. This one will do the same job. You'll have to know what they are and make sure you get them. It doesn't seem to have 404 checking, but again, if you're changing stuff here and there, you have to plug it in and do a nice job there. Let's see, simple custom CSS, Gretchen.
Yeah, I think this is similar to simple CSS.
Okay.
As well. So it just helps you to edit your CSS without going into the actual file.
Right, and it looks like it's probably, I'm guessing you're not editing the built-in CSS, it just gives you a blank place to put your own CSS to override what's in there.
Exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of them like that. Jetpack has that built in. So again, if you use Jetpack, use that one and don't add an extra plugin. But if you don't, then here's a great. If you only need that, then use a plugin like this instead of all of Jetpack.
So what does this do that the normal CSS text editor doesn't do?
Well, you shouldn't be going in the text editor to edit CSS in theory because you can blow things up. This gives you a separate box just to put in your changes, which is a better way to do it if you want to make CSS changes. Very, again, similar to what Jetpack does. Because the way style sheets work, it will load all the built-in stuff first, and then it'll load your changes last and override anything in there. So for simple changes, this theory is a good way to do it.
Don't most themes already have that?
A lot of themes will have that built into, yeah, but not all of them. So if your theme has it, again, then don't load another plugin, use what your theme has. But if it doesn't, then here's this.
I use this one specifically a lot, but I mean, there's a ton of them that work, but one of the ways I use it is with a multi-site where I have a bunch of different sites all pulling from the same theme, but there's little bits that each client wants to customize, the look and feel, something that makes it really simple to just fix it on just their site without having to go in and create a child theme and all that sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Ooh, good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So yes, child themes is a great example of that. And then Gretchen, this next one is you as well. I'm not sure I found the right one. You called it simple Facebook page. This is the closest I could find for it. Is that?
I don't think that's it. But basically, okay, it's gonna take too long.
That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking for a free plugin that would allow me to include my Facebook posts on my website.
Okay.
And this one, not only does it show the latest posts, but you can scroll down and see all the posts. You can like the Facebook page from there. You can like the post from there.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty big, but it's good.
Cool. If you find it, post it in the Meetup page in the comments for us.
Okay.
We can check that out. Another one we use quite a bit, simple social icons. It's exactly what it says, very simple social icons. There's two kinds of social icons on your site. There's the kind saying, hey, go share this content on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and then there's the go find us on Facebook, Twitter. This is the go find us. Go find our Facebook page, our Twitter page. Not sharing. The sharing we do through Jetpack usually. This one just generates very simple social icons. It's very well named.
And strangely for the user, you can't always immediately tell which.
Correct, and that's, yeah, I'm sure you would, yeah, I think you have some, I'd like to hear you talk more about that at some point. You probably have some good insights there, but it is confusing on some sites where you see, I want to go to their Facebook page, and oh, you just liked their about page instead. Like, what am I doing here? So you do want to be careful with, differentiating that. But again, this is for the linking out to others. It's simple, does a good job most of the time. Lets you choose the icon color, the icon hover color, the background hover color, the border color, the size of the icon, and there's one for radius to make them square to curvier and curvier going in. That's really about it. And then they have, I think, about a dozen social networks built in, Facebook, Twitter, the main ones you think of, but you can't easily add more. So if they said, gosh, I really need one that has WhatsApp on it, you know, link to that or whatever, it doesn't have it, it doesn't have it. You're out of luck, and you do something different. So, again, this covers, you know, the top 12 or so. It's going to have everything you need: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. And again, we use it quite a bit. It does a nice job. And what's neat is the icons it generates are all font-driven. So they're very lightweight. They're not images even. They're all just CSS font-driven icons. So it's real lightweight. Does a nice job. Again, there's 1,000 more plugins like this. So again, if this one doesn't have what you need or it doesn't look quite right, there's plenty of other great ones out there. Just use the normal thoughts of looking to see how often it's been updated. And this is not a great example of that right there 7 months ago. But in theory, look to see how often they've been updated, how popular they are, and that kind of stuff. Soliloquy, we mentioned a little bit. If you need a slider, you know, sliders are so uncool, but they're still useful from time to time. This is, in my opinion, by far the best slider plugin out there. Doesn't do anything magic. Others like Revolution Slider will do a lot more flipping around and, you know, fancy things. And they also get hacked a lot more often. Those are the, if you follow the news, the Panama Papers, that whole debacle was all caused by Revolution Slider being outdated, so that was kind of fun. Not that it's a bad plugin, people didn't update it. But Soliloquy, just again, it's simple, does a great job. You can choose, you know, how big you want it to be, drag and drop images, say you want where you want them to link, rearrange them. It's simple, does a nice job. Same guy that does Environment Gallery, so if you like one, you'll probably like the other. If you need a slider, this is the way to go. The light version is free, the paid one is reasonable. I'm guessing it's probably about the same, 20 bucks or whatever. And like the other one, it has some little paid add-ons you can buy for it. Out of the box, which does a big slider, it's going to have thumbnails below it of each one. It's an extra 10 bucks or whatever to get the thumbnails, and you can buy some add-ons for it. But other slider plugins, yeah.
Can you put text over an image and place it where you want it? Yes.
To some degree, yes. I think it takes a little more finesse to do it right. That's where Revolution and some of the others have that WYSIWYG editing, drag it in.
Oh,
and,
right.
you know, this doesn't do that. It's made more just to have some big, beautiful images flip by, and does a good job of that. If you need to get more complicated, then go elsewhere. Again, there's good options. What else do you guys like for sliders? Anything?
Slide deck?
Slide deck?
Yeah, it's decent.
Okay.
The premium version I tested out, and it seems like most of it's pretty basic. The transitions are nice, but to get the extra content, you have to go up higher tiers.
Gotcha. They have multiple paid. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, Revolution, generally speaking, you don't often want to use a slider. You should talk your clients out of it. But if you need one, Soliloquy does a nice job for basic stuff, and Revolution does the fancy stuff. And there's others like Slide Deck, and a lot of other, I mean, there's a zillion sliders out there, but these are just, you want something that works, it works. Security. Carl, why don't you tell us how great Security is?
Well, it's similar to iThemes plugin, so they have a free version. They have two plugins. The one includes the firewall. The free version, if you install it, it helps with, you know, brute force attacks, and it notifies you of people making changes to your site. That's one piece of functionality that I like. And typically, I recommend people they have two options. Notify me when there's a failed login attempt. Don't turn that one on.
I know that.
Your email will be flooded, and
Yep.
you'll get very worried. I turn the other one on. So I turn the notify me when there's a successful login. Because obviously, that way it's either you or somebody that you gave authority to log in. So, hopefully.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I have somebody like Emery one time. He logged in and like we used to log in outside. So I mean, you can verify when you get that alert.
Gotcha. And Security, I think, does a great job of cleanup as well. If you do get hacked,
Correct.
they do an excellent job of helping you recover from that. They'll go in and, I think it's a couple $100 maybe, I don't remember.
Well, if you do it through us, it's $4 a month. If you do it through
Okay.
them, it's like $100 a year or something.
Gotcha. But what I've heard, yeah, Jason Sear is big on that. He said he's had a few issues with getting hacked, and he says, hey, Security, go fix it. And they go in and fix it, and it's perfect, and they do a great job. So I've heard good things there.
They are very good and quick.
Yes. Next up is Table Press. We haven't used this one as much lately. This kind of becomes one of those things. Beaver Builder sort of has this built in anyhow. But if you just need a table of information, we use it on some mall sites we run. We have a mall directory, so we have a big map at the top, and then children's shoes and the name of the store and a link to their site and what floor they're on. That, you know, it's little tables of information. does a great job, it's easy to use. It builds little tables, and not a whole lot to say about it. Does a good job. Again, Beaver Builder, I believe, does pretty good tables, yes? Aaron?
I'm sorry. I checked.
That's all right. Beaver Builder does tables. I know.
I'm like, I don't need this.
I know. Beaver Builder does tables, I think, though, yes?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I thought so. So yeah, this is one. If you have Beaver Builder, just use those. Save loading a plugin. But if you don't use Beaver Builder, just need a quick table. It does a good job.
How does this one work responsibly? Because I know there's lots of different ways that tables can.
Yeah, I think it just kind of smushes.
It does. It just
It's very narrow.
Yeah.
So if you have, 12 items that become unreadable.
Right. So we try to keep it to very few columns. So it stretches out nice, and then the mall when it smushes it, it still is okay. But yeah, if you had one 12 wide, it's I'm not sure how it even should handle it in theory, but it just smushes. So.
Horizontal scroll.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that too. That's So what's better?
It's readable.
Yeah, it's readable. That's true. So, do you have one that does something better?
Tables are a pain.
Yeah, tables are Avoid them when you can, but sometimes you need them. And
yeah.
I've had pretty good luck with Magic Liquidizer responsive tables, just for a couple horizontal buttons, and then if it gets resized, it goes into a vertical mode, which is still usable.
Gotcha. Interesting. We'll check that out. Liquid resizer.
That's what it
Magic
looks like.
Liquidizer.
Magic liquidizer. Okay, cool.
Yes, it does. Let's get that.
Let's see. This is another Diana Nichols one, so she's not here to defend it. Tesla login customizer. Customize your login page with minutes. I think it just kind of makes it look nicer. You can kind of brand your login pages a bit more. Be kind of useful if you build a site for someone else. They remember who you are and how great you are. I don't believe it's a security kind of thing. There's other security ones that will customize the login address, so it's not /WPAdmin, which is just one more way to keep hackers from trying to log in all the time if they don't even know where to log in. That helps. This one's just for visual stuff. It'd be kind of useful. We did a similar thing for a while. We'd have our logo in place of the WordPress one or whatever. We stopped doing that years ago just because it was silly to have another plugin for that. But you can make a good point. Good case for that one. Let's see. Next up, the time you mentioned TinyMCE. Do you have anything in particular? There's a whole bunch of ones.
Just gives you some extra options in the text box.
Yeah, lots of different options in here. So for the editor, just to add all kinds of stuff. You search for TinyMCE, lots of more spell checks and fonts, and just lots and lots and lots of stuff to add to it. So is there one in particular you like, or just no?
I also find it's handy sometimes when WordPress strips out extra spaces.
Yes.
Sometimes the presence of TinyMCE
Yeah.
with that option turned on can
Yeah.
help that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, WordPress likes to help a lot. Yeah.
Right, you mean like when you press like, when you want extra space between paragraphs, and even when you might type in the, what is it, ampersand and.
NBSP, yeah,
that
WordPress
thing,
will
it's
sometimes
like,
take
oh,
that.
what happened to it, I just put it in there.
Yeah, cool. And that's kind of a case for Beaver Builder too. You start doing more, trying to lay out, you can kind of put gaps in.
Okay,
But
so I
yeah.
might need that.
But to Tom's point though, it's nice. If you say, I put 2 extra line breaks in on purpose, just leave them alone. It'll help you with that. So,
Okay.
cool.
I'm not sure if that's what if it's intention or it just happens.
Right, could be.
You there.
Oh, wait, go back.
Sure.
That one at the top, Black Studio Tiny Mice widget,
Mm-hmm.
I just installed that for a client of mine who likes to put a lot of crap in her sidebars.
Okay.
And she doesn't, she's using text editor and she's making a mess. And then if she wants a link, she calls me because she doesn't know how to do it. And then it's like, well, you could do this thing in a little sandbox, but it's like, wait a minute, there's got to be an easy way.
Right.
That will bring up a dialog box. Like you just install it, and instead of sliding over text to a widget, you're going to slide that over, and it looks like a text editor where you can insert, it's got links, and you can
Gotcha,
put
nice.
an image, and you can make bold and regular, and
Cool. Very good.
and so far it hasn't broken anything. So
Yeah, and it seems to be pretty solid. Lots of good reviews and updated frequently and used a lot. So yeah, that's a big problem. The default WordPress text editor does a nice job, but you have to know code. If you don't know code, you're toast. And so they give you a visual way to edit those widgets, which yeah, very cool. Good find there. Uber menu we use quite a bit. This builds big fancy drop-down menus instead of just drop-downs. It does things like let's fly over here, like mega menus. We use these quite a bit. When you hover, it does different kind of menus there. You put images in there, all kinds of fancy stuff in your menus. It's rather complicated, it's just cumbersome and kind of, but it does a nice job. I mean, once you get your head around it a bit more and understand how it works, it does a good job. It's all responsive. I mean, it works well. But WPMegamenu.com is their site. You have to go. It's called Uberman.
How does that work responsibly? I mean, does it just turn into a hamburger menu type thing? Or?
It has options for how you get through it. I think that's kind of the default one. But yeah, it's different ways. It does pretty well. It gives you, again, there's the one issue with it, as it were, is there's a lot of options here. And you can already see the different kinds of menus. They all have different buttons and checkboxes, and it's kind of chaotic to sort out. But there's a lot of power for not only how it looks here, but how it looks responsively, and does a nice job. So WPMegamenu.com for Uber Menu. The Ultimate Coming Soon page. Used to be called Ultimate Coming Soon page, and that's out there, but if you go to it, it says, hey, go to this new one instead. So now it's Coming Soon page in maintenance mode. But what this does is puts a page up that you can customize, that if someone's not logged into the site, that's all they see on the whole site is this one page. But if you log in, you get to see the entire site. So this can be a good way to show off a new site to a client. If you have it on a testing server somewhere, hide it behind this so no one else can play with it, but say, hey, Mr. Client, go log in with this password. And once you're in, you can just browse. It looks just like the normal site. You can browse around and see how everything looks and play with it. But everyone else just sees this coming soon. Check us out later. So we do this a lot, particularly on brand new projects. If they say they've never had a site before, we'll spin up their site and build like a nice landing page. Like, hey, we're coming in August. Check us out. Here's our phone number. Here's our contact form. Let us know. And meanwhile, behind it, we're building out the full site that the client can log into and check out. And when it's time to go live, you just turn that off and hey, you're live. Works out well. It works for maintenance mode too if you need to. We try to avoid that at all costs, but does a good job. Let's see. Velvet Blues update URL. So this kind of goes, we talked earlier about BuddyPress, about moving sites from one server to another. If somehow you need to change a whole bunch of URLs from one to another, from an old address to a new one, things head a little sideways, this will do a great job of going through all your pages and posts and widgets and everywhere it possibly can and changing every reference old address to new address. Does a great job. So often we'll run this and then we'll kind of go back and kind of hand check a few things, but it does a good job just to get you there pretty quickly. It can ruin your life very quickly too if you type things wrong, so we double, triple check, make sure we have the right addresses in there. Before it does good, we have it update everything, and we take the plugin back out. It doesn't have to live on there forever, you just use it and get rid of it. Emery, tell us about WP Fastest Cache.
Yeah, well, I had tried WP Rocket, which I thought was faster than WP Super Cache, and this is actually faster than anything I've tried. And apparently, what it does is it combines all the CSS files into one CSS file and then caches it. I'm getting like 2 or 3 seconds on a site, and it's probably 8 seconds. So I love it. But it's all free too. So.
Do they have a paid version, or it's just?
Yeah, there's a paid version, but honestly, I tried the paid version and it really didn't seem that much better than the
Okay, cool. So WP Fastest Cache, which I've not tried, but yeah, we use WP Rocket a good bit, and it does well. But I'll have to try it out and see, because yeah, Rocket's a little cumbersome too at times. So not as bad as some of the other ones, but this looks simple and fast, so we'll check it out. Widget CSS classes, getting a little bit geekier on this one, but this is kind of neat where in any widget area that you drag over, it has your title and then whatever other box stuff below, but it has a new called CSS class. You can type in whatever class name you want, you make one up yourself, and then go into your style sheet and write the code to point to that CSS class. So saying, call my custom class 1, and then your style sheet say, dot my custom class 1, font color red, background color this, font size is bigger, and it'll target that one widget and do things just to it. So it's an easy way with CSS just to automatically target a widget if you need to change the fonts or colors or size or something on it. It can be handy from time to time.
Instead of doing a span?
Right. Well, again, some widgets you can't even really, how you span. If you have 4 widgets in a row and you want to target that one, it can be hard just to target one widget in there with some CSS. And so this gives you a way to name it, and then you can do whatever you want to it. With a span, they go across all 4. Or some widgets, if you have like a recent posts widget or something where you can't put text into it, it's just pulling posts. You have no way to put any kind of code in there for anything other than saying just pull my most recent post from this category. You can say, but also give this class, and now target it, say make the font smaller for the recent posts, and whatever you want to do with it. So.
And what does it do? It adds a field to the widget.
Yeah, just add any widget you add has its normal fields, its title and body and whatever, and it adds one field at the very bottom called CSS class. That's blank by default. You say, gosh, I wish I could target that guy and change it. Just add whatever name class you want, and then go however you have your CSS and do whatever you want to it. So, kind of handy. A couple left here. WordFence, another security plugin. I like this one. They're very expensive for the premium one. Will vary when you have to buy tons of them. But what I like about it, it has the best, I think the best on-demand scanner. So if we see a problem with the site, security says there's a problem, or iTheme says there is, I can go into here and say, all right, scan my site now, and you'll see it going through, and it'll scan everything right now, and spit out, here's where we see some problems, potential problems, and you go in and deal with them. Whereas iTheme Security has a scanner, I think, but I can't get it to just run when I want it to run. It kind of does its own thing. Security maybe does, but I don't know that it does it like this. This one's just nice. In WordPress, I just load in the free WordFence and say, go. And if I had big problems on the site, I say, and scan deeper and check all my, you can add some checkboxes to check even deeper. You say go, and you can watch it run and going through things, say, I think I found a problem here, and maybe here, and that one's infected, and you can go back through then and clean things up, and then if you want to take it out, you take it out. But it does a good job of being just a real-time or full-time security plugin as well, like instead of iTheme Security or any of those. They do a good job. They just added a firewall in the last couple weeks I've not really played with yet, but just to help block, keep out the bad guys. So another good one to consider. The way we typically operate between all these is don't use security a lot. You probably should use it more, but again, paying for scale, it gets a little expensive. We typically put iTheme Security Pro on all our sites, and then if we see any kind of issue, we fire up WordFence and have it do a scan, clean it up, and then take it back out and let iTheme continue to do the job. It's a combination that works pretty well, but it certainly depends on your hosting and other situations.
Do you know what the paid WordFence does that the free doesn't?
Not offhand, I'd have to look again. It wasn't a lot, but yeah, I don't recall what it was. And the last one, alphabetically, is probably the one more of you use than anything else, is Yoast SEO. So if you need search engine optimization stuff on your site, this is considered the best. We use it on, I want to say all of our sites, certainly 98% of them. I don't know why we wouldn't on any, but using our virtual just does a great job for search engine stuff. It's one of those that does, like I say, if you just install it and activate it and walk away, it does some good things for you right out of the box just doing that. But if you want to really dig in deeper, it has a lot of tools to help you dig deeper and deeper. Some things offhand, it builds an XML sitemap that Google likes to see, so it builds that automatically for you, and so you can take that over to your Google Search Console and say, hey Google, here's my site, here's all the pages and posts. It'll keep it updated automatically, so as soon as you post, Google knows. Kind of like with push press, it's another way to tell Google, here's all my stuff. Please index it and rank me well. And then gives you other ways to check how your keywords are doing and other fun things. All-in-one SEO is another popular one. There's some new ones out I've been playing with that I've forgotten the names of, but Yoast is regarded as the best. I'd say really, if anything, they update too frequently because they often update and break things, and have to update 2 more times to fix what they just broke in the last one. And they had a security hole a couple weeks ago, and they've certainly got their issues in trying to always upgrade so quick, but they have a lot of good features and do a good job. Any of you guys use something instead of Yoast you like better?
I use all-in-one most of the time.
Okay, why is that? Why all-in-one over Yoast?
I can't really tell you why. I guess I always have a problem in Yoast where the title tag is like just duplicated, or else it's smushed together when you lose the separator. I don't know, it's happened like 5 times at least.
Huh.
On the
Okay.
site, so I don't know.
Yeah, all right. And all-in-one is certainly well regarded and does a nice job, so nothing against it. There's other ones out there, but I don't know a whole lot about any others, so no one else uses anything else? Okay, cool. So any other plugins we missed that you're just dying to let everyone know about? Yeah.
I have a fun one if you're designing on the fly, or if you're not really sure what you're doing and you're gonna try some things. It's called Duplicate Post.
Okay.
So let's say I've got this home page and I install this plugin Duplicate Post, and it says, so I make this design and I'm not sure if the final like this version or have this other idea where I'll make the pictures in a row. So I duplicate the post and it does that. So then I can make some changes on the duplicate once we have an A and a B to show.
Without having to redo it from scratch.
And then, yeah, then I'll either make the duplicate